Hello, and welcome to Team Franco Bodybuilding Podcast, episode number 19. This one is going to be interesting to say the least, but I think it's super important to learn these factors, or more or less to practice these factors to gain success. Um, this one came to me last night, just laying down in bed. You know, you gather your thoughts sometimes, and we're all a little bit weird and different that way. And I was thinking, what are the main factors in successful people? What do you constantly see successful people do, and why, and are they able to do it? What enables someone to reach a goal? What enables someone to continue that grind, to develop those habits? And this is going to be, in an order. There's four things that I came up with, and I'm going to address them one by one and just give you my thoughts. It's all anecdotal, but again, I've been involved in this industry for quite a while, worked with a variety of people. I've had a lot of success with those who just want to reach their goals, losing weight, to be healthy, to compete, to win pro cards, to win pro shows. So I think I have a good idea about people now. And these things I try to practice myself, but again, no one's perfect. So don't feel bad if you're not, hitting all four of these factors, because no one's perfect. But at least it gives you a guideline, in my opinion, something to strive for, because that's what life's all about. So the first thing that you always see, or you should try to have, is persistence. Okay? Persistence simply meaning that you're always trying. You're always trying to push through no matter what is going on in your life. To me, persistence is accepting changes. It's when you may have an injury and you have to learn how to work around it, or you may have to rest it. Persistence is carving out that time so you do train. If you have that busy schedule and you say, I don't have the time to get it done, well, you make the time. Persistence is also with the diet, meaning that you plan ahead with your diet. You know where your next meal is coming from. That's persistence, planning, all the same thing. You're just pushing through. And believe me, shit's going to happen, but persistence is not lying down to it, meaning that, I had a bad couple of days, I'm going to give up. No, you're going to pick yourself up and move on. Okay? To me, persistence is the first key to success, to reaching a goal or just pushing forward. The second one are habits. I did a podcast early on talking about habits are more important about goals. So if you want to learn more about what I said about habits, go back and listen to that one. But in a quick review, developing good habits, over and over again will lead to your goals of fitness or whatever they may be. So to develop a good habit is something that you need to do that you actually like, meaning when it comes to your workouts, to your training, to your diet, and more specifically when it comes to the diet, a good habit is following a diet that you can follow. It's not falling into the trap of the latest trend of, whatever it may be this year. Unfortunately, there's no main crazy diets going on because everyone else is preoccupied. But in the past, you look at keto, you look at vegetarian, you look at, I don't even know. I mean, there's always, they all have their benefits in some way. But to me, building a good habit on a well-balanced, flexible diet is going to allow you to stick to it. So that's why I'm a fan of flexible dieting. And again, I've talked about that plenty of times earlier on in my podcast. but developing good habits, things that you can adhere to, is going to help you reach that goal. So you need to develop those habits first. All right. So we went over persistence, we went over habits. Next one is patience. Okay. What is the one thing that you always see people failing at? Meaning, why do people stop? Because they don't have the patience. They don't let the habits develop. They're not persisting as much. They may give it a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and then they give up because the results aren't happening quick enough. Believe me, I get it. I mean, there is a mentality out there that you need to get that ball rolling, putting that little snowball on the top of the hill, and as it goes down, it accumulates and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and gains more speed. But sometimes that snowball is going to get stuck. So you need the patience and to be able to learn to address, to maybe change your habit when you look back. Maybe you need to change something, or you may need to learn to be more persistent. Or you just may need to learn how to write it out. Sometimes the best change to a diet or to an exercise program is no change. It's just continue to push through, to persist, to push through, because patience is something that we all need to develop to really exceed. When I competed last year, sometimes there would be 2 weeks and I'm monitoring myself and not much would change. But, then after I'm like, you know what, Joe, stay the course. And then in a matter of days, boom, the body will change. I can't answer that, because if you look at it from a great big picture, over a 2.5 week period, you see a nice change, but in only 2 weeks, not much happens. So that's where patience needs to come in. Patience is something that we need to learn as Americans, because there's so much that rides on our patience, meaning that look at the supplement market. There's always crazy stuff coming out with these claims saying, take this and you lose 30 pounds in a month. And they're betting that we don't have patience and that we'll spend our money on products that are just bullshit. So it's patience. So you have that patience with developing good habits, with being persistent, it all adds up to success. The last one I'm going to talk about, and it may seem a little odd, but again, these are qualities that I see in successful people. I see them being persistent, the grind, planning ahead. I see them having good habits over time, developing the habits that best fit their needs, their schedules. And I see them developing patience, meaning accepting that sometimes progress does take time, trusting the process. Okay, that's a key that I didn't mention before. Trusting the process will lead to the progress. And what ties it all together, and again, you're not expecting this one, is happiness. Okay? If you're not happy while you're trying to be persistent, while you're developing these habits, while you are being patient, you're not going to get jack shit. The results are not going to come if you don't have a positive mind and just basically being happy and excited over what you're doing. I see it. Now, you can push through, you can grind, you can, compete and not be happy. All right? You can be freaking miserable. But, and you may win a show, but are you going to be happy afterwards? When you rebound. I did a whole 2-series podcast about rebounding. Because what I'm talking about here is continued evolution of progress and not just reaching one goal, but continuing it on and on and on and on for a lifestyle, for a lifetime. So if you're not happy doing what you're doing as far as fitness, exercise, diet, all that stuff. And especially if you're not happy on the outside, your outside lifestyle, family, friends, career, living situation, whatever it may be, that's all going to be a negative effect on the three factors that I already talked about. Scientifically, if you're not happy and you have a lot of stress and anxiety, it's going to affect your cortisol levels. It's going to affect your sleep. And that sleep has become a popular topic over the last year, and I am all on board with that. Because if lack of sleep affects your body, look it up. You can Google that one. Sleep is super important when it comes to progress in the gym, comes to your physical and mental health, and your happiness. Because if you're not happy, if you don't have that positive attitude, it's going to really slow your progress down or prohibit it. Now, I'm not expecting you to be, having a smile on your face 24/7, looking like someone that's just, it's like a clown. I'm not talking about that. I mean, you're going to have your down periods. It's life. But the overall outcome is happiness and peace. And when you have that, you succumb to life and you're living in the moment, living here and now, you're going to have greater progress. You're going to have greater persistence. You're going to have greater habits, greater, I'm drawing a blank, patience. And then that leads to, I only had one cup of coffee, so bear with me, greater happiness. Now, I'm going to get even weirder on you and tell you a little story that once was told to me, and it resonated about life in general when it comes to happiness and what we actually become. All right? So if you're going to be tuning out, try not to, because just bear with me here, because this really ties it all in. There's an old story about an Indian chief and his grandson. And the grandson was talking about, he's like, "Grandfather, I heard that we each have two wolves living in our body. We have a black wolf and we have a white wolf. Tell me about it." And the grandfather looks at the grandson and says, "Yes, we do. Those two wolves are battling each other all the time inside ourselves. The black wolf is the negative in you, is the jealousy, is the large ego, is the hate, it's the competitive, destructive, insecure, dark wolf in your body that we all have." The grandson looked scared. He goes, "I have that in me?" And the grandfather said, "Yes, you have that in you. But you also have the white wolf." And the grandson's asking the grandfather, "Well, what is the white wolf?" The white wolf is love, comforting, support, happiness, peaceful, forgiving. It's all the good things that, it's love. It's all the good things in you. And then the grandson's like, "Well, if I have these two wolves, how do I know which one will win?" The grandfather looks at the grandson and says, "The one that wins is the one that you will feed." Now, what does this have to do with what I'm talking about? You feed your body, right, with exercise. You feed your body with food to make progress, to reach goals, to reach desires, to even be happy. You feed your mind. You feed your positive mind, and that will make you a happier, more peaceful person and be able to help you reach your goals and develop the persistence, to develop the positive habits, to develop the patience, to all reaching your fitness goals that we're after. So guys, that wraps this one up. Hopefully this is helpful, especially in a time of craziness, and hopefully in a year from now, if you're listening to this, the craziness will be gone. but it all wraps up together. You know, these are the things that I see in people who've had success, you know, reaching their fitness goals. You know, I'm not going to repeat them because I've said them 15 times already, but work on them. You know, if you work on them, you're going to continue to evolve. You're going to make the process that much better, and you are going to reach your fitness goals. So guys, I'm signing off. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me at fitfranco@verizon.net. If you're interested in coaching, you know, now's more of it. I never really push my coaching too much, but if you're interested, you know, if you're working out at home and you need to really focus on that diet, now's the time. TeamFrancoBodybuilding.com. Check out my website. Email me with any questions or concerns, and take care.